Toll Road here, and I'm in Urbana, Ohio, and I'm at the Johnny Appleseed Educational Center and Museum. Let's learn a little bit about John Chapman. This is gonna be a fun one, kids, but just for safety's sake, you better buckle up, buckaroos. You're about to take a ride on the toll road. Now, who was Johnny Appleseed? This museum will help us determine what was fact, what was myth, and what was purely legend. And the first fact we should know is that Johnny Appleseed's real name was John Chapman. Now, the first fact is that Johnny Appleseed, although a lot of times he did go barefoot, he often wore shoes or moccasins that were gifted to him. And the myth was that, no, he was always barefoot. He walked everywhere, never had shoes on his feet. Bottom of his feet must have been like leather. And even if someone did give him shoes, he'd just give them away to somebody else. The legend was that Johnny never wore shoes and he was punishing his feet for God. The next fact about Johnny Appleseed is that he traveled the whole way to what would be his final resting place in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but he spent a great deal of time in Ohio, plus he had stops in New York and Pennsylvania. Now, the myth is that he walked the entire distance from Massachusetts to Indiana. So the biggest part of the Johnny Appleseed legend is the tin cap that he wore. Now, the legend had it, the lore, everything you'll see in the movies, the Disney stuff, is that he wore a pot on top of his head. Yeah, he might have been the original pothead. Now, where is the truth on this? Well, we do know that he worked in sunny apple orchards. And you don't like sun in your eyes. And the fact is that he wore something he made out of himself, almost like cardboard to cover his eyes. The myth is sometimes he wore a tin pot, but he wore a hat. The legend is, yeah, he was wearing a pot on his head so apples wouldn't fall and plump him on his head when he was working in the orchards. Another aspect of Johnny Appleseed that's told a lot is his love of animals. And it is true that he had a gray mare up until his death. Now, the legend is, though, that Johnny Appleseed loved animals so much he wouldn't even ride a horse because he felt that was cruel. And he also slept in a den with a hibernating bear. He wouldn't even light a campfire because he didn't want to hurt mosquitoes. And he had a pet gray wolf pup that would follow him everywhere he went. Johnny Appleseed matchbooks. That's pretty cool spoon. They got a little apple tree in the center of it there, and up top you got Johnny up there. And this little coin's got him with that tin cap on it. So in 1994, they found a tree on the Lego farm in Savannah, Ohio, that was proven to be a tree planted by Johnny Appleseed himself. And what they did was they'll take cutlings of this tree, you can kind of like cutting off a branch, and you can plant it somewhere else and grow a tree that's a direct descendant of Johnny Appleseed. And they actually have a small orchard here at the museum with cutlings from that Lego tree. And here's a piece of that Lego tree. This is actually wood from a tree planted by Johnny Appleseed. Pretty cool here outside the museum. What you see here are actual apple trees that are descendants of a tree planted by Johnny Appleseed. And look at this. Oh, look at that. That's a Johnny Appleseed apple right there. Beauty. And another fact versus fiction moment. Johnny Appleseed didn't just spread seeds randomly when he did it. He actually planted proper orchards with fences around them. All right, fun fact. The apple varieties grown today in the United States are not native, but were brought here by early European settlers. Euro apples. All right, I got you. Okay, so which one of these should I do a photo op with? Johnny Appleseed, uh, Jenny Appleseed, or Raccoony Appleseed? Let's see if I can arms long enough to do this. Look at me, I'm Johnny Appleseed. Cars going by thinking, what is this weird, I would say middle-aged man, but I'd have to live to be like 180 to be middle-aged. What is this weird old man doing sticking his head through Johnny Appleseed? To me, it's kind of amazing just to walk through here and know that these were basically planted by Johnny Appleseed. He planted a tree, they cut off a limb or whatever and planted these. So these, I mean, that was 200 plus years ago Johnny Appleseed was around. His history lives on right here in Urbana, Ohio. Okay, looks like we're gonna have some more fun facts about apples here. The largest apple ever picked weighed in at 3 pounds. 3-pound apple. Can you imagine the pie you can make off of that? This looks like that might be a painting of that apple there, because that's a pretty big apple right there, isn't it? Wait a minute, another fun fact. We love fun facts. There have been more than 7,500 apple varieties. Okay, that's a lot of apples. Most of us know, you know, your Red Delicious, your Granny Smiths, your Golden Crisp, Fuji, crab apple, apple pie, apple fritter. That's about it. All right, this is a pretty cool museum, actually. Just a small place. It's free to get in. They do take donations. Please donate. Don't be cheap. Oh, and there's the Urbana Night. Urbana University, now closed, but it was started by the Swedenborgian Church, and that's the connection of why Johnny Appleseed has a museum here in Urbana, Ohio. And I tell you what, as far as mascots go, I know Urbana isn't around anymore, that's not to be trifled with there. Goodness gracious, this guy's, look at this. Look at this, this guy's got me by like a foot. He's about a 7-foot tall man wearing armor with a big sword. Don't mess with Urbana. That's pretty cool. This is supposed to be Johnny Appleseed's actual Bible that he carried with him. Looks like he's into the Proverbs. So Urbana University was founded by the Swedenborg Church, and that is why the Johnny Appleseed Museum is here, because John Appleseed, John Chapman, was one of their more famous members, and he was through the area here of Ohio. In fact, the only name you might know as high up as John Appleseed is Helen Keller was also a member of the Swedenborg Church. So they built this museum in here. He's a big part of the university. And I don't know why they didn't, instead of calling themselves the Knights, they should have been the Apple Pickers. Or maybe the Apple Planters, or maybe the Potheads. The Urbana Potheads. Now that would have been a really, you know, they'd sell a lot of t-shirts and hats if they were that. They missed their calling there. So you may be wondering, where did Johnny even get all these apple seeds? Well, what is thought to happen is he'd go to a press mill and gather seeds from there, a cider press mill, and he'd take them in his pouch and go and fill up his orchards. And the orchards he created, they weren't for eating apples. These weren't, you know, pluck an apple off a tree and feed it to your horse. These apples were more designed, they're more better suited to use in cider. And cider was pretty important back there because drinking water quality wasn't that great. But alcohol, yeah, that kills some germs. So most of his apple orchards were used to make hard apple cider. That's going to do it for the toll road here at the Johnny Appleseed Museum in Urbana, Ohio. And who knows? Maybe I'll put on a tin cap, lose the shoes, be an apple man myself. Then no one will know. Who would know? Who knows where the toll road would lead to next?